So in today's video, I'm going to explain to you all of the things that I did that I regret doing when I started my social media marketing agency. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Adam. I run a social media marketing agency and I've done so for the last 2 years. And so obviously what I know now is very different to what I knew when I was just starting off. And so hopefully with this video, I will save you a bit of wasted time and energy so that you don't make these mistakes yourself. So regret number 1 was simply not starting soon enough. Sounds a little basic, a little cliche, but it is true. I officially started my agency in 2019. That's when we signed our first client. Now, before I actually decided, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get started, I'm going to sign the first client, I was looking into this business model, I kid you not, for years. Probably at least 1 to 2 years at a minimum. I had seen other people get great results with this business model, and to be honest, I just had so many doubts and personal weaknesses that I had to work on to be able to get started myself. I thought I don't have the confidence for this, I'm not good enough at marketing. I had a whole load of limiting beliefs. And I know now that if I did actually start when I first had the thought in 2017 or 2018, I would probably be way further along my journey. So although it's not the worst thing in the world, it is something I do regret. I probably would have made a whole lot more money and I would have not wasted as much time. Regret number 2 was me constantly wanting more. You see, when you're building a business, it's very easy to think that more is better. More revenue, more team members, more automations, more systems, more is better, right? Unfortunately, that is not the reality. Of course, there's a point where yes, more is always going to be better. There's also a point where less is actually more. I've hired many people and built many systems that really just didn't need to be done. And with that, did I not only waste a lot of time, building the systems or vetting people, doing interviews and hiring them, wasted a lot of money as well. In fact, my agency, we changed our entire service offering after we realized that more is not always better. In fact, when we kept adding more services and upselling our clients extra little services for an extra couple $100 per month, we realized that this is really not going to work long term. We're creating a lot of stress, a lot of headaches, and for the extra revenue we're gaining as a company, our profit margin is actually decreasing. So we decided to cut a whole bunch of services that we used to offer. We now have a cheaper starting package that all of our clients start with, but it's more streamlined, more systematized, more productized, and it's more profitable. Lesson number 2, and one of my biggest regrets, is constantly thinking that more is better. Sometimes less is more. And this leads me perfectly into regret number 3. As I would have alluded to there, in that period of more is always better, we hired so many people. And when you hire a lot of people, you're always going to pick a few bad apples, right? Out of every 10 people you hire, there might be 1 or 2 that are just not really that good. For whatever reason, maybe on a personal level or on a professional level, they just don't have the right attributes, characteristics, or attitude to actually work in your business. For example, I remember hiring a branding specialist. We paid him for roughly 2 months, and it was really a bad decision. We paid a lot of money. We didn't necessarily need this person, and we just did it on a whim. We thought this person would help us, brand our clients better and hence get them better results, and they'd have a better experience with us and they'd want to work with us longer term. But to be honest, it actually overcomplicated the process, and I don't think it helped at all. There's a bunch of other people we have hired in the past that have not worked out, and some people not the most trustworthy people. But again, that's something you just learn as you do. On the other hand, there's many softwares that we also paid for that realistically we didn't need. And at the time, because we were in this more is always better mindset, we just wanted to add more people, add more softwares, add more systems. And as I've previously alluded to, that's not always good. In fact, sometimes that will just cost you a lot of money, basically strip you of a lot of your time and a lot of your mental energy as well. So leading on from point 2 and point 3, what I realized after some time is that simplicity scales and complexity usually fails. And so one of my biggest regrets with my agency was overcomplicating things that really didn't need to be that complicated. So again, hiring too many people, building too many systems, or making our sales process just way too confusing for a prospect. And this sounds really simple, right? That, you got to keep things simple and it'll be easier to scale. But, as you scale and as we scaled, there was, that thought went out the window. I was not thinking about simplicity. I was just thinking of, add the next thing on, build the next thing, and it'll all become better in the future. That's really not the case. And when you are starting off your agency from scratch, right, it's very, very easy to fall into that trap to think that, I need to have everything built out. I need to have a case study, I need to have a website, I need to have a logo, I've got to have 10 other different things. You really don't, right? And the simpler you can keep things at the start, the easier it's going to be to first get your first clients, because you're not wasting time on those things, but two, to not overcomplicate it so that it's easier to scale and easier to maintain. So that is definitely by far my biggest regret, just overcomplicating the process. It's not a complicated business unless you make it complicated. The most successful social media marketing agency owners really keep things simple. Of course they hire people, of course they build systems, gotta do that, but you don't need to overcomplicate things. So I want you to take a look at yourself right now. Are you falling into any of those traps I've mentioned? Are you overcomplicating the process? Are you always thinking that more is better? Be realistic. If you are, pull yourself up and realize that you should probably stop. And if you got value from this video, please do drop a like, make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you hopefully in the next video.